Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this first satsang at Wild Child. So I ask you, are you aware? If you look, you can ask yourself, what am I aware of? Or am I aware of anything? You can hear voices. You might feel the breeze from the fans. You might hear the sounds from the cars. You might hear birds. You might hear your own breathing or the person next to you. In this way, you know, in a very ordinary and everyday way, that you are here, that you are aware. Using these external stimuli, you can also ask yourself, am I aware that I am aware? Do you know that you are aware? Not aware of sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, but simply aware. This is something, this experience of awareness knowing itself, is something that we often step right over. We step right into the object, right into the sensation, right into the feeling, right into the thought. And then we run from there. The mind runs from there and takes us out, away from the heart of being. This is quite a natural process. There's not anything that you can do, nor is there a need for you to stop what happens naturally. But I'm pointing you toward noticing that before sensation, before thought, before feeling, before sound, taste, touch, and smell, you are. You are simply here. Notice this now. It's not even necessary for you to hear what I'm saying or for you to track it with your mind. Simply notice that you are here. That which is aware is here now, as I am. And everything that you are aware of is coming and going in the space of the being of your own heart, the heart of being. It's this knowing in some way, large or small, of yourself as the heart of being that has brought you here. You may be thinking, I have come, I am seeking, I am looking for something, I want to be awake, I want to be enlightened, and you think that this impulse has something to do with you. But I'm here to let you know that even this impulse has nothing to do with you. This divine impulse is coming from the heart of being. Your good fortune is you have heard it, you have responded in some way, even if you are claiming ownership as the seeker. Eventually, you will see that this heart that you are, this knowing of yourself as being, consciousness, is what has opened your heart and brought you into this moment here now. And you can rest. You can put down that responsibility as the seeker now. This is the way to find rather than seek. This is quite a simple thing to say, but maybe not such an easy thing to do. This conditioning, which we project into our experience in the mind, in the heart, into feeling, into emotion, into the world, seems to override this knowing. I am. This is just a quality of mind. As soon as you realize, remember, I am aware. I am here. This seeking, this looking, searching, begins to come to an end. It may have a certain momentum for a period of time, days, weeks, months, or even years. But by repeatedly asking yourself and noticing directly, am I aware? And hearing within your own heart this small voice that says, yes, I am aware and I am here now. Slowly, the momentum of this seeking comes to a halt. And in this moment, there is only the open heart of recognition that that which is aware is here now. And I am that. In order for this to become the foundation on which existence finds itself, there is a certain element of trust that's necessary, isn't there? Something I notice in speaking with people frequently is that people know We all know this heart of being, but we often don't trust it. This is one of the things that keeps us seeking, keeps us being a seeker rather than a finder, rather than recognizing our already present awareness as being consciousness. So we have a momentary experience, maybe it lasts just a split second, maybe it lasts a few days, of knowing ourselves as the heart of being, as the awareness which is present in all. We get a glimpse, but the momentum of our seeking, the momentum of our conditioning, tells us right away, what was that? Can that be true? Can that be me? Is this who I am? Really? So doubt creeps in. In order to overcome this kind of doubt in a gentle way, it's necessary for us to trust that which has brought us here, both to Tiruvanamalai, but also into this heart of the heart of this moment. That which is here now, to trust that before I define myself as this or that or the other, old or young, male or female, rich or poor, from this country or that country. Before all of that, this simple recognition that I am tells us that that which we feel before all differentiation, before all splitting apart, before all separation, is here now as being consciousness. In order to know this directly, we learn to trust. We trust what brought us here. We trust the teaching of the Master. We trust our relationship with Arunachala. We trust this deep knowing that the heart of our experience is in this awareness of I am as being consciousness. And every time we step out into our conditioning, into the momentum of tendencies and samskaras and everything that the scriptures talk about, we are that which is aware. And when we step out through habit, through conditioning, we simply remember through the question, who am I? Not as experience, not as thinking, not as emotion, but before that, who am I? And we remember simply that that which is aware is already here. And we come back to this firm foundation of recognition of the self as being consciousness. When this foundation is firm and we are established in the trust of the teaching of the Guru, slowly the conditioning which pulls us away from this simple remembrance, I am, begins to weaken. This is like cutting at the root of a great tree. It can happen slowly, chip by chip, stroke by stroke. But eventually, even the mightiest of trees will fall. So even if this conditioning, which seems to plague you day in and day out, seems to trouble you in some way, seems very strong for you, simply remember that which is aware is here now. And each time you do, you cut at the root of this conditioning. And you welcome yourself into this remembrance of being, consciousness, and the recognition that you are that. In the same way that the sound of this dog, this beautiful howl, comes and goes, and the sound of this loudspeaker comes and goes, so everything that you think you are comes and goes. Sri Ramana said, let what comes come, and let what goes go. So in this moment, there is nothing to get rid of, nothing to push away. There's nothing to grab at, nothing to cling to. Simply notice as awareness itself everything that is coming and going. And then notice that which is aware and is not coming and going. Through this simple recognition, you become firm, rooted in the heart of being. Whatever comes in body, mind, or world, in past, present, or future, let it come. You are before all that. Once you have remembered this and your foundation is firm, then you can step into anything. You can dance any dance. Any music is yours. And the recognition that all of this is myself will come for you. And you can dance whatever music is playing. So you are welcome. If you would like to say something, to speak with me, there is a microphone over here. Please raise your hand and we'll have it passed over to you.
Rishiji, I have a question about discernment. And you know, when you say we can dance and in all music.
I think you're going to need to speak up a little bit for the people in the back.
Okay. It's good now?
Can you start over?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have a question about discernment.
Okay.
When you say we can dance in all the music, it doesn't matter what plays. there is still a lack of detachment, of not getting engaged. It's like if the music is playing and staying, but sometimes just like the seeing is so strong, like
Yes.
I don't know how to not react. I like how to discern when it's time to respond, when it's time to not respond. And I often find myself not responding, but actually like keeping it in when the heart's saying you should say or you should respond, and sometimes responding or reacting instead of remaining detached.
Yes, and who does all this?
The one watching.
Yes, ultimately it is the one who's watching. Yes, you're right about that. But at the moment that you're caught or reacting, who is doing that? The one you are not watching. That's what you said. You are not watching. You are caught. Correct?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Conditioning.
Yes, but somehow you believe this is me.
Yeah.
Huh? So it's not a problem of responsibility or response in a circumstance. It really is not trusting that whatever is here at this moment is coming from a deeper place beyond this belief that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the set of conditioning, and so on. I'm not saying that you should immediately free yourself from all inhibitions and, do and say everything spontaneously. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just, but what I am saying is that there is no one. If there is no one who is doing the dance, then there is no problem. The problem is always mind. And that's what you're describing, is this internal dialogue that's going on in the middle of whatever is happening. There's always room for reflection, but reflection is not good in the moment. Reflection is reflection. It's looking back.
Afterwards.
In the moment, best to dance the dance, whatever the dance is, and recognize this also, whether it's pleasurable or unpleasant, is also not me. So that you can free yourself to be in the dance exactly as it is. This is where the element of trust comes in. If you trust the teaching, if you trust the guru, if you trust the heart of being, which we all claim to, this is why we are here. But if you do, then you understand that you know nothing about the causes and conditions which are bringing about a particular situation at this moment. Therefore, dance.
Okay.
If something needs to be learned, it will be learned in reflection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
The challenge that we all face in living an ordinary life is that we often don't understand what the hell is going on. This is where the element of trust comes in. That we are willing to dance the dance that is here now, that is before us, that we are immersed in right now, without knowing what the outcome will be. To do this is to be willing to let go of fear. To be willing to be here, not as a body or as a mind, but as presence. The presence which is here now, that fills each and every one of us knows what it is doing, even if I don't. And the more that I trust in this presence, which I'm also calling awareness, I'm saying, ask yourself, am I aware? Know that you are aware as awareness itself, and be here in the dance. This is to say, I trust, even though I don't know. To trust the experience that your heart is bringing to you what is needed at this moment, and that this, in the heart of your own being, is the real guru, that you are always safe in the arms of being consciousness, even when it's uncomfortable and unpleasant. Slowly you chip away at the root of fear and step into the freedom of not knowing. Did you have a question?
Yeah, we were talking at the last satsang. I was asking if you've already sort of let go of what's bothering you in a present moment. I was saying, well, isn't that enough? You know, and then you were saying, well, actually, even then you can inquire. And at the time, it sort of puzzled me a little bit because I thought it was enough just not to be in attachment. But when I was meditating, subsequently, I then sort of became aware of the space all around, you know.
Yes.
And in a way, that's really being aware of maybe the true self, no? So I mean, when you say it's not enough, say, just to be detached, which I think being detached is an aid towards
Yes, of
reaching
course.
there.
Non-attachment is definitely an aid. Yes.
Yeah. But we're really aiming to be aware of. I mean, being aware of that space. They call it the Chittakash.
Yes.
You know, the space of awareness. That's really where we want to be, or what we want to be aware of.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And this is actually Bhagavan's teaching. If you really think about the teaching of Advaita, the teaching of non-duality, what is pointed toward is first we discover what we are not, right? This is the purpose of this practice, neti neti. Not this, not this. I'm not this, I'm not this. So that the question, who am I, can arise. So it's not enough, as you said, to simply put everything aside, to become detached or non-attached to experience. It's also necessary, knowing what we are not, to know what we are. So the two go together. Absolutely. And this is the foundation of the question, who am I? Or to notice I am aware in this moment. If I notice that I am aware in this moment, I slowly or quickly begin to understand something, not about who I am not, but about who I am. And both are necessary. Yeah.
Okay, and ideally we abide in that sense of our own spaciousness.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and initially you have that sense of abiding in our own spaciousness until we realize that it's just spaciousness. It's not our own spaciousness. It's just spaciousness. And that is the foundation of everything that we see. And everyone we meet is resting in that spaciousness, whether they realize it or not. It's enough for you to hold yourself in the heart of being as this aware presence. Doing that, you begin to see aware presence all around you until you realize that there is nothing here but aware presence. All beings are already free, already liberated. Nothing you need to be or do, nothing you need to become, nothing you need to change. Just dance as the presence of aware being. And sometimes it will be beautiful, loving, open, and kind. and other times it will be chaotic. The question remains the same. Who dances? Who am I?
I'd like to ask how to open the heart or get rid of the notion that the heart is not fully open.
Yeah, first of all, understand that, right? It is a notion that the heart is not fully open. It already is open. It is already here. So begin to recognize that what's happening when you say the heart is not open, that this is a delusion. It's a misunderstanding. So then you can look directly at that thought. You can say, what is that? Who is saying that the heart is closed? I am not. I know the heart is open. So this is the way in the teaching that we remove a thorn with a thorn. So we take one thought which is not serving us, the heart is closed, and we look at that and we say, is that true? No, that isn't true. I know that that's not true. Even the mind is telling me it's true. The conditioning is telling me it's true. The vasana is telling me it's true. But there's a deeper knowing. There has to be a deeper knowing in you for you to ask this question, right? Yeah. So the deeper knowing is there. So come back to that. Say, no, that thought is erroneous. That thought is a mistake. You can talk to your own conditioning in this way and put it aside. That is not true. If you simply acknowledge it's not true, of course, it may not go away because it has a momentum as conditioning. So it may come back from time to time. But you only need to do that persistently and consistently, saying, no, that is not true. I am a knower of truth, and the truth is, I am free. The heart is always open, whether the mind acknowledges it or not. This undercuts the power of the conditioning and the power of the conditioned mind by simply saying, no, that's not true. Once you know truth, use it. Come back over and over to what you know to be true. This presence, which I am, is here now. I am aware as being, consciousness. And everything else that is in the front of that, everything else that wants to hide that, everything else that wants to veil that, it will come up, right? But it will also burn up with consistent and persistent recognition that that which is aware is here now, and I am that. So this is not an empty mental process. This is that deep recognition that if I say to you, do you know you exist? What do you say? Right away, yes? Yes, you know you exist. This is that deep feeling that nothing can hide from you, that you exist. Now, let yourself know that you are the open heart of being. And whenever anything comes up in the mind, in the experience, in the emotions that tells you that is not true, simply, you can acknowledge it. Oh, there's that conditioning again. Let it go. Has nothing to do with your recognition, with your freedom, if you don't believe it. You see, it's always that belief in the mind, that conditioning in the mind, that which we've been taught by society, by our past, by karma, that supports these false beliefs. So it will take some time, having just now come to this message, that you have to put it down for the momentum of that conditioning to slow down, and then for that root to be cut. But don't suffer from the delusion that because you need to say no, that is not true, that means that the heart is closed. No, in that moment that you remember, I am not that, and the question can rise, then who or what am I in that space? The heart is definitely open. So begin to notice how many times throughout the day you come back to this recognition that the heart of being is always open, always free, always loving, and is felt as this presence which you experience as I exist. So walk yourself back from the edge of that cliff and find yourself in the heart. You are always there. Very good. And this doesn't take a long time. You know, you don't need to spend a lot of time with this. Anything can be going on in your day. Literally anything can be going on in your day. And the moment at which you notice, I am aware, or that which is aware is here now. This presence is here. Just that quick remembrance brings you instantly back into the full recognition of yourself as being, consciousness, and bliss. Even you don't think that. It just brings you back into this moment of self-recognition, of open-hearted presence. And then you just go about your business from there. By doing this, the reason I am encouraging people to do this now is because it's this way in which awareness itself is given the opportunity to do the work for you, to do the work you think you have been doing for such a long time, to bring this seeking to an end by simply coming to the recognition that that which is aware is already free, is already here, and is before all thinking, all feeling, and that thinking and feeling, experiencing, are rising out of that recognition of being consciousness. So you go straight to the source, straight to the heart. And each time you do that, become a little bit more stable in the recognition of being, consciousness, awareness itself.
Thank you. Very inspiring to hear you again. I have a question about this. When I'm on my good days, when I'm in this beingness awareness a lot of the time, then I would like to ask you about the feelings which arises there, because in order to kind of know how to, if it's right what I'm doing, but what I feel, what the feelings or emotions I sense is deep feelings of gratitude, of love. And then a strange thing I haven't really heard about is like it's kind of a fiery feeling of, it's like, it's the feeling I have inside. It's abundance maybe, this kind. And I just wonder if, can you confirm that it's the way it works, or how?
If it's rising for you, then that's the way it works for you.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily work that way for everyone. Some people get these energetic manifestations that come as a consequence of sitting quietly and resting and relaxing in this sense of I exist, or I am aware, and I am just here. That which is aware is here. And in this space, someone mentioned space, in this space of recognition, actually what comes most of the time, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, is what's in the way of you staying there in that space as stable awareness.
Okay.
So the question I have for you is, when this occurs for you, is there a sense of distraction?
No.
So
It's burning awareness in a way.
it's what?
It's like burning awareness or something.
Yes, and how is the presence at that moment? Is it just there resting in that burning awareness?
No, it's because I just feel it now when I'm talking to you. Feel it's filled, and there's some feelings of joy, of course, and happiness and love. And
So what's the response to that, though? Is it oh, I have to keep this? Oh, I like this? Oh, I want this to last?
no, the response is, for me, is to go deeper,
Fine, do that.
to go beyond it.
Yes, continue.
And then it becomes, but then it becomes unbearable a bit.
So if you say it has become unbearable, haven't you made a decision about it? Hasn't the mind made a decision about it?
Yes, it has. Yes.
What's the decision?
That I have to, that I should stop it.
Yes, that there's a problem and it has to be fixed. So understand that whether it becomes this blissful opening of recognition, which just keeps expanding, or whether it becomes, oh, there's a problem now and I have to fix it, in either case, what's happened is the liberation and freedom, which has been present prior to that, has split itself again into two. Now there is the liberated and free self, and there is the self which either has to continue this ecstasy or has to solve this problem. Either way, a split has happened. This is the split of conditioning, the split of the belief in the I as a separate being. Okay? So this is the moment to increase
awareness.
Yes, but through the direct question, to whom am I referring when I say there's a problem? Who says that? So go back again to this question of who am I, back to the root.
And then the awareness and beingness happens again.
Well, the awareness and being is always there, but what the question But what the question does is it begins to pull that veil aside that says there are two me's, one who is happy and one who has a problem. It pulls aside that veil. Because what you're talking about, what you're experiencing, is how can I practice, or how can I engage what's going on? And this is going on at such a subtle level that it's very hard to remember that the practice at that moment, or the inquiry at that moment, is who is having this experience. You are once again becoming caught, you can say, but distracted by might be a better. Distracted by whatever phenomenon are coming, whether they are pleasant or they are unpleasant. You are becoming distracted at that moment. This is very subtle phenomenon. But nonetheless, the remembrance, who am I, will bring you back from the phenomenon into this presence, which is here, and not distracted by whatever the phenomenon are. Okay?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure, of course. Behind you?
I'm feeling curiosity around themes. I would like your take on healing and trauma as themes. I'm thinking of trauma as the weight of the vasanas or the burden of karma. Is that something that you would agree with? And I would define healing as the awareness of the awareness and the recognition of the heart of being, and these themes that you're talking about is that knowing or that presence. But if we call trauma, the mind goes to beings that I know that are especially burdened and really struggle to find truth, and just telling them maybe that they're carrying this burden up the mountain that they can just let go of. They would call it spiritual bypassing maybe, or deny that it wouldn't help them with their healing process.
So I would just suggest to you that to name something, to realize it's here, to know that I am here suffering this difficulty at this moment, this pain, and then to do nothing with it, this is not a spiritual bypass. This is an acknowledgement that what is here now is a consequence, not of here now, but of the past. And it may well be very, very difficult to be holding it here now in the present moment. So to acknowledge it prevents this, what you're calling a spiritual bypass, from happening.
Yes.
I acknowledge this. But then it's not enough to say this trauma occurred and was X, Y, and Z are the result of that. And now I need to go back and explore, why did that happen? What was the purpose of that?
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to learn from this? All of that is the activity of the mind that wants to continue conditioning.
Yes.
Right? So then this is where, having acknowledged that this trauma, this event, this memory was here before and is here now again, gives us the opportunity to say, and I am not that. So then to further ask the question, then who am I? In the practice of Sri Ramana of inquiry, he simply points to noticing that yes, what is here now, but it's here as thinking. It's not here as actual experience. It's here as memory. So his direct response, his immediate response is, to whom does this thinking come? And in doing that, what we do is we take the energy away from the memory. We pull the attention away from that sense of trauma, and we turn it toward the source of being, which is what we're referring to as awareness or consciousness being.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear you and I agree with you. I think more the question is how to aid a being that you might love, or I might love, in finding that awareness whenever they're so lost.
Yes, that's a really immediate experience that you have to have. You have to engage yourself. For one being at that moment, there is nothing to do. There is nothing to say. There is just to be presence.
Mm-hmm.
Presence will often allow that energy to dissipate. You might go over and hug the person, but you will be quiet. You will be here in the presence of this trauma, in the presence of this drama, in the presence of this memory, sharing that with the being. But does that mean that you need to believe it? That you need to accept it?
No,
that you need to take something?
It's mind play.
That you need to heal them? There is nothing you need to do. You are already here as being, consciousness, and presence. So be here as that. Be here as love and compassion. But understand that being here as love and compassion often means you simply need to be here in silence,
Mm.
sharing that moment of grief with someone that you care a great deal about. Don't be afraid to be in the full catastrophe that sometimes shows itself as living.
Sure.
But being in the full catastrophe of living does not mean that I need to assume that is real. If it is coming, staying for a period of time and going, that is the definition of not real.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you can be present in the not real with someone who is burdened by the not real, and you can still be the real.
So I believe that in being that presence, that loving presence, that is in a moment remembering truth.
Yes.
That itself is what's healing. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
That resonating or offering a field to resonate with, a field of love, is what's healing.
Yes. Because if you remain as the self, as being, consciousness, as the heart of compassion, whatever that energy is that's broiling and toiling within that being, it will begin to come up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is why I say the recognition of the not real by the real
Mm-hmm.
is actually what heals.
Mm-hmm.
So remain as that. This is the greatest tool for healing. And you may still find yourself needing to engage in some way. But again, knowing that you can say to someone, I hear you, I understand you. This is not to say that I believe the story in the same way that you believe the story.
Mm-hmm.
I simply know the truth, that you are free. The heart is open. Step into it.
Mm-hmm.
But you may not be able to say that. You have to meet each person where they are at that moment.
Yes.
Wisdom, if you are the heart of being in this moment, then wisdom tells you how to meet this situation, how to meet this moment. You have to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have no agenda. I want to heal you.
Of course.
I want to take this away from you.
Yes.
I want to end your pain. No, this is also God. Suffering Buddha is nonetheless Buddha. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Suffering truth is nonetheless truth. So we are always remaining as that.
It's makes me feel into the difference between losing one's mind as in maybe having a personality or a mood disorder, and losing one's mind and having the awareness of the awareness and finding the peace through that,
Yes,
or remembering that I am.
yes, the heart of being. Yes.
But I can relinquish the mic now. I feel like I could continue in this dialogue. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, very good.
Thank you. I want to ask you, what do you see around you, in
What-
front of you?
Ah. I have to answer that in two ways. In one way, I say, I see nothing. There is nothing. There is only presence. And the other way is I see everything. There is only presence.
So we all are lies here.
We all are what?
Lies.
Liars?
Lies. We are unreal.
So I think it was Rumi who said, I am nothing. or some form of this. I am nothing, and I am everything. And between these two, my life flows. Narsagadata. Somebody said this. And this is really the experience of wisdom once it's firm and realized, is that one is simply nothing. And this comes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Is this recognition. There has to be this dual. Everything moves forward side by side in the world of duality until it comes back into unity. And so we walk side by side with nothingness, with emptiness, and fullness, and everythingness. And these two walk side by side until they finally come to rest in this recognition that nothing is ever happening. And somehow there is this. What a wonder. Huh?
It's like bubbles.
Very good. I like that. Yeah. Like bubbles. And actually, this is a wonderful metaphor for the way in which the process of inquiry or returning to self happens, is that something seems to come up, right? And it floats in front of us for a while. And the degree to which we believe it is the degree to which it stays there in front of us. But as soon as we let go of it, as soon as we accept that the unreal is unreal and that which is real is here now as being consciousness, then the bubble, the interesting thing is then another bubble takes its place, and then another bubble, and then another bubble. So we become better and better about, if not poking the bubbles, just letting them pop on their own and receiving whatever they are here to show us, if anything, with this understanding that this is being, consciousness, and bliss. There is nothing else. That is all that's here.
And we cannot follow the one who is playing this game of bubbles and dances and all kinds of drama that happens.
You can try, but you will, time and again, you will become weary of that. No matter what game you're playing, you will become weary of it. And this is a great benefit, to become weary of all the games, of all the projections of the mind, of all the stories. And at the same time, to realize that it cannot be any other way. This is the way of it. How else can we say it? We can say, oh, this is God, this is the supreme, this is being consciousness. But in the final analysis, all we know for sure is I exist, and this is the way of it. That's all we know.
Thank you.
So we go on in an untroubled fashion as best we can. But as we go on in this way, in this untroubled fashion, knowing that we walk between being nothing and being everything, the more that we do that, the more this space of the heart seems to open and becomes inclusive and brings everything and everyone into the light of its own being, its own recognition. So now we look around and we see, we hear, we taste, we touch, we smell, we think, we express in different ways. And all of it is the realization of life itself. That's it. It needs not have a purpose or a meaning
It just is.
as established in the mind. It simply is. This is it. Be happy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. All right, I think that's our time for today.